Welcome to Make It Public. This is Butenschoen, and I have Matt and Angel Goering here with me from Herb Neiman's. And we did an interview with them about a year ago, just over a year ago, and I thought it'd be good to catch up after a year and kind of see where they're at, where the restaurant's at, and there's a lot to talk about. So thank you guys for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, tell me a little bit, like last time we talked, it was the struggle. You were outside in the tent trying to get back inside the restaurant. Actually, no, I think we were just rolling into all the doors and windows had to be open.
Yes.
And to be honest, I've kind of quit following cases like I was last year because it's just, it's the never ending. Stop, 2 weeks flat in the curve.
Yeah.
It's never going away.
No, never.
So I couldn't tell you today what the cases are, but what has changed, do you think, in regulations on restaurants from then to now?
Well, we're scared to death every day that there's going to be more regulation. They've been pretty good about not, of course, coming in here and harassing us if people aren't wearing masks while we're open. If people want to wear masks, they can wear masks. If they don't, we're not the mask police. Mm-hmm. But it's almost a daily fear, of what's coming down next. What are they going to mandate? Are they going to mandate vaccine passports?
Like King County.
Yeah. So there's just a tension. I know with our restaurant as owners and the employees, and talking to other restaurant owners, same thing, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Well, and the tensions with the customer base too, because if you have customers coming in who feel really strongly about masks and they see we're not making people wear masks if they don't want to wear a mask, then they get upset about it. And
from like the 6 feet door to table.
Yes. Yeah.
So you have people who get upset about that.
Yeah,
Yes.
We sure do.
Okay.
We got turned in again last month.
Yeah, last month, something like that.
Because they came in
But she came in before we were open.
We weren't open yet. And myself and Andrea were lighting candles, getting ready to be open. Mm-hmm. And this couple walked in, and she was immediately like, "You're not wearing a mask." And Andrea jokingly, because it was Halloween, and we had witch hats that had veils. And Andrea goes, "Well, kind of have a face covering," as a joke. And the lady was just furious, and she's like, "That is not proper, and that is not being safe." And she huffed out, and it was literally 3:45. We weren't even open yet. And then I got a call the next day from Liquor Control saying, "We got a complaint." And I'm like, "Oh, I already know." She's going to say 4 o'clock. It was 3:45. We weren't open yet. Mm-hmm. And
it's always Liquor Control for you guys, right?
Yes. Because like Rose, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but there are places that aren't even making their employees wear masks. They're like, whatever. Yeah. But since they don't have a liquor license, they're not getting harassed at all. L&I isn't checking in. Yeah. You can go to Fred Meyer, you can go anywhere, and you'll see people with no masks, and nobody's doing anything about it. But with Liquor Control, they use that to control the people who have liquor licenses, because they'll just take your license away. That's the threat.
Right, because the bigger stores especially don't care. I mean, I go Walmart.
No, they don't care at all.
Yep. Costco,
Fred Meyer, Safeway, any of them.
Any of them. I go into any of them, and they absolutely do not care.
Nope.
And they're not getting fined.
No, they're not
getting in trouble.
It's all small business. We're not so much worried about. Well, and we also worry that if Inslee decides to make every county like King County, because I was listening to a podcast this morning,
right,
with the man who owned a brewery that's 3 miles from the next county line. So his customers are just going 3 miles away. And it's just those kinds of things where it still doesn't make any sense. Like, here we are this much later into COVID and still doing nonsensical things.
Right. Right. And I feel like I'm a broken record, but it went from public health and safety, supposedly, but it's not anymore. It's not about public health and safety. No. And I think because everyone knows where to get a test. Everyone knows where to get the shot.
It's all a choice now.
It is, but not a choice.
Like it's not a choice.
It is, but it isn't.
Right.
Now that the immunizations are available, and now that that's available to people, these mandates should be done, because everybody now has the opportunity to get it.
Right.
As an adult, if you feel that you're scared of the virus.
Stay home.
You know what you feel that the government's been telling you to do to keep yourself safe.
Right.
So do that. If I'm an adult and I feel that I'm just as safe or safer without following those recommendations, then I should be able to do that. We're all very educated by now, and to continue to force mandates on us and continue to get stricter with them is not working. Number one, I mean, it's just not working.
No.
And the science has proven that. I mean, that's what the science has proven. The mandates aren't working. So what science are you following at this point?
Right, and it's kind of getting scary because I go to my doctor for my yearly checkup, and all this woman wanted to do, and she wasn't my doctor, she was a fill-in, but all she wanted to do was talk about the COVID vaccine and why I don't have it. And I was like, well, at this point, I've had COVID.
You don't need
And
it.
she's like, well, you're high risk. I was like, but I didn't die.
And you had it.
And I had it. And I'm actually doing better now than I was before with my kidneys. And she just is like, no matter what I said, it didn't matter. All she wanted to talk about was the COVID vaccine,
Yep.
not my actual health. It was all about COVID.
It's the same when I go to my rheumatologist.
Right, and so it's like that's the only topic that we're talking about anymore. And even, my son, he had to have knee surgery recently. He's got a shoulder injury. That's not considered to be an emergency, or even it was August and we still don't have an MRI on his shoulder because it's not essential. And you know how many COVID tests he's had to have just to get doctor visits? Every single time. You're not even supposed to do a test without symptoms, and they're doing them nonstop. So everything's about COVID now. And I think here in our community, with the disaster we've had, the biggest disaster ever in Whatcom County, a true and actual emergency, I think some people are kind of having an aha moment where it's like, I don't care if the person to my left or right may or may not be vaccinated, because we have something to come together. So I think it's been good.
I agree.
But what do you guys think as far as your business goes? I mean, obviously you're not anti-vax by any means. Not even at all.
Not at all.
And neither am I. Not at all. If Inslee says the mandate is vaccination or no service, what do you do? What are your neighbors? What does that do to Everson? Do you think?
And what's scary is his overreach is so huge now because he's consistently keeping it in a state of emergency. So there's no legislation. The people we've elected to do their jobs can't do their jobs. He's taken that ability away from them
and I don't know if they even want to.
So that when people say King Inslee, it's actually quite truthful. We are living under a monarchy right now of a self-appointed king.
Right.
And so that gives you the nerves, the nervous quality that anything can come down at any time from him, and he's consistently thrown curveballs like that. So you just don't know.
But as far as what it would do, you mean like if he imposed a vaccine mandate?
Yeah.
I'm not making my employees do anything they don't want to do.
No, that's their body is not my.
And we'd probably,
or vaccine passports. If they said if you want to be served, other than they'll probably say, except the grocery store.
Like King County?
Yep, like King County. If it becomes like King County, what do you think that does to Everson, and what does it do to you guys?
I can't speak on behalf of the other restaurants, in Everson. I don't know what they do. I really don't. I know my restaurant, we just wouldn't do it.
No.
We'd probably take a couple chances and get our hands slapped, and then we'd probably shut down. We'd shut down till it was available to safely reopen without the mandate.
What's sad is the only way anyone would find out you weren't checking vaccine passports is if an employee if a customer decided to turn you in because you didn't ask for their vaccine passport. And let's encourage citizens to turn on one another. I hate it. They started out of the gate with this, with turn in your neighbor if they aren't doing this right, or turn in your neighbor.
They had a snitch line.
It's the snitch, and we're continuing it with the passport thing. They still want you to do this, and it's so divisive, and we're already in such a divisive state.
Yet I have a good analogy for you. So we were rescued in the flood from our house from 5 feet of water. I didn't ask the front end loader if he was vaccinated, or ask him if he was, had a vaccine card. And I don't think anybody, I mean, hundreds of people were rescued. Did it matter then? And that was a real emergency.
Or what about when they're all in the churches?
Yeah,
Then?
So in certain times it doesn't matter, but in other times it does matter. It's the inconsistencies are just mind-boggling as a business owner. Nothing makes sense. So the things that do make sense, they're not doing. The things that don't make sense, they are doing, and it's just overwhelming to try and understand what's going on and why they're doing it. I think we just throw up our hands and just say, we'll see you guys in the spring when we can open up again. I don't know what else to do.
Right. But you guys are, and so you're fortunately in that situation where you can do that, right? Like, it would hurt.
A lot of them could not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would hurt.
It would hurt. Trust me.
It would hurt, but you wouldn't lose everything.
We wouldn't lose everything.
Yeah.
But we also have employees to think about.
Right.
Well, and that's the problem. Then where do the employees go? I mean, last year, we talked about when we did the interview and we had the tent outside. That tent was $6,000 a month to rent. We spent probably a couple $1,000 to heat the place. We didn't do that for ourselves. We did that for our employees.
And you hosted other restaurants.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, so there's one restaurant that said they stayed in business because they were able to use that tent. I mean, period. And we didn't charge them for it. But so what's going to happen to our employees? I mean, they just had this vaccine mandate, and the firing of firemen and the firing of people, they just act like it's no big deal.
Right.
These are people's jobs, their livelihoods. People own houses that work here. They own cars. They put their kids through school. We have a responsibility to make sure that they can live their lives. That's what we do as an owner.
I don't understand why they don't just leave it up to the business owner. Because if you feel, like Bellingham did, a lot of restaurants in Bellingham chose that they want to be aware if you have a vaccine passport or not before you come in, because they want to protect themselves or their employees or whatever their reasoning is. But that's their right as a business owner to run it how they wish.
And as a consumer, I choose if that's the environment
exactly.
I want to be in.
And I don't understand why he took that away from the King County people and just made that decision for the business owner, and then put the burden on the business owner to follow up on it. It's just, this whole thing is just nuts.
Well, and it feels to me that people are being used as pawns for a game. Because, so you have Inslee just ordered that, or called in the FEMA vaccine mobile units for Washington State. Do you know this?
No.
This was a few days ago.
I did know this.
I did not know this.
So, and, I think, okay, well, here in Whatcom County, we could use some FEMA help.
Yes.
And it has nothing to do with COVID.
Nope.
Nothing to do with COVID. And I just can't help but always think, why is everything so backwards? Why is everything so backwards here? And, so I guess Inslee comes here to town after the flood. And Matt, you even got to meet him.
Yeah.
And, he comes here, does his thing, and then he leaves and he talks about climate change.
But he did not talk about climate change while he was here.
Right. And so it's hard as a community to watch, again, a pawn in his political game.
And that's all it was. You could tell. When the mayors started talking about, we need to have a conversation about just taking some gravel off the river. We need to just start having a conversation. There's going to be no smoking gun for this flooding right now. It's going to take years to rectify, and it's going to be a whole bunch of little things that happen. His eyes rolled to the back of his head, and you could tell he just did not care.
Checked out.
It was done. He blank stare, didn't agree, looked, didn't shake his head one way or another, and then changed the subject.
Yeah. Well, at least he didn't bring any rotten apples to town.
Well, but if it would have been in one of his special interests
Yeah.
to take gravel off the river, oh man, he would have been all over it. So you're right, and it was a political. I want to say game. It was a political ploy for him to come in here, act like he cares,
Photo op.
and off he went. And yeah, he freed up some money. Who wouldn't have?
Yeah, for the shelter.
Absolutely, But like you said, so he'll call FEMA in for COVID. But there's a lady on Nooksack Valley flood disaster last night that needed diapers for her child. Where the hell is your help, Inslee? Where the hell is it?
Yeah.
These people need help from FEMA. They need help from the state.
Yeah.
And nobody's here except for what we're doing. And Samaritan's Purse and Christian organizations that are helping out. Not liberal organizations, conservative Christian organizations are helping out.
Yeah.
Haven't seen a single liberal organization help out.
Well, I have to give credit to
The Riveters.
the Riveters.
Yes.
And this people will be like, what? But they're feeding people.
They
Yes,
are.
they are.
Again, I still feel like it's a little political. But you know what? They're still doing something good.
They are.
They're giving credit to the people who aren't actually with them doing it, but
Yes.
they're out doing something.
Yeah.
And I got to meet one of them that's active in that. And you know what? I wouldn't have met her otherwise because we do not have anything in common.
Right.
But this has brought us together for a time, and it was pleasant. It was great. They fed us. As volunteers, they fed the public, and it was just about the food in that moment, right? What they did on social media, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But you know what? They still helped people.
Yep, they did.
But they're the only ones that I have seen out doing anything.
Yep.
Let's talk about the flood for a minute. So, actually, you guys have been so instrumental in this community here in Everson, and even kind of pushing into Linden. You guys help other businesses so much, and you've also kind of given people like, oh, I can go out and eat and be normal. Like, you've given people hope.
Normal.
And and people, you guys are amazing community members, and so I just want to talk about a little with the flood. So I was here Monday night when the waters were raging through the city here, just down the street, and I thought for sure that the restaurant was gonna have a couple feet of water inside.
We did too.
Yeah, but Sunday night, I was here with some people having dinner, and you were worried about water. So what happened to you guys?
Well, so our house is down from here, and it's actually right in the floodway, but the house is like well over 100 years old. It has never had water
It's
on the main
also raised
floor.
about 3 feet.
Yeah, and it's never had water in the main
Oh,
floor.
it's raised too.
Uh-huh. So when we went to bed that night, I was just annoyed because we've been flooded before because my laundry room is like 3 feet lower than the
On grade
house.
level.
On grade level. And so the garage and the laundry room will get flooded, and it's just a big mess and silt everywhere and mud. And I was just like, I got to deal with this tomorrow, and I was in a bad mood.
Trying to run a restaurant here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wake up to
4 a.m.
2.5 feet of water in my house.
Yeah, it started coming in about 4 a.m.
Which was so shocking because that to me was not even something that could ever happen. So
Right.
we had nothing off the floors. We hadn't moved anything because we didn't know. And it was the middle of the
coming
night.
quick.
It came fast.
Oh yeah, it just came.
Because I watched your a couple minute updates every
Yeah.
couple minutes. It was like, okay, it's here.
Yeah.
Now we're upstairs.
Yeah.
So
And we were freaking out because you couldn't leave the house because you would have gotten swept away. And there
the
were
current was really strong.
Oh,
where
it
you
was
guys
so
were at.
strong. And then there were cars. So this is how fast it was going. There were trucks parked right in front of our house. It was moving them into our yard. And that's why we got kind of panicked about, we got to get out of this house because we have a huge picture window and the truck's literally coming toward the window.
Yeah, if
So-
it would have broke out that wall, that would have been
So, and they were in
unfortunate.
communication with us too. They were like, hey, we're going to try and get you guys out of there, and we had several people trying to get to us by boat, and it was just,
This was Monday morning.
it was Monday morning. So it was pandemonium. So when we
For
did,
most, Monday morning wasn't that bad, but you guys, I mean, it was
It was bad.
It was bad.
And poor Sumas, holy cow. But then the bucket loader dropped us off here, and we immediately came over to the restaurant thinking for sure it was underwater, but the sandbags had kept it out except for little puddles. And then in the back, there's a ramp for wheelchair access that goes up. It was that far from the carpet. I could not believe it. I was like, thank God.
But your house had how many feet of water in it?
2.5 feet.
2.5 feet of water.
About 2 feet. Well, yeah. I mean, in the raised part, we had about 2.5 feet. In the laundry room, it was 5 feet of water. I mean, it was just there was 5 feet of water
It was up to the
around our
windows.
house. Yeah, it was crazy. So.
And okay, so now though it's not like okay the water goes away, so do you have to restore that whole bottom floor? You have to
Everything's
rip it?
gutted. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a construction company in that, and first Doug Broersman's company came in, got all the
Northwest
silt.
Cleaning Services. Yeah, they
all the
came in
silt.
and cleaned out all the silt, and they did an awesome
Then
job.
we had a contractor come in and at a premium price, but you just
Gutted
have,
it.
You
gutted
have flood
it.
insurance?
We do have flood
We do.
insurance, yes.
Okay.
So that is that, and we have a private flood insurance, so it's actually better than FEMA.
Okay.
It pays a few things extra out, and the limit's a little higher. So I mean, it's a huge inconvenience for us, and it's devastating when your house is unlivable. It really is.
Yeah.
We've spent
all
the
our
last
photo albums are gone.
yeah, we spent the last 15 years just literally remodeling that house every room at a time.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're going to be fine. Our house is rebuildable. Our house, we'll have enough money to rebuild it from our insurance company, and we'll get a nice remodel out of it. And that's all you got
That's
to
how you
think
gotta
about.
look at it.
Yeah, we're gonna raise it up. We have an engineer over there yesterday and today, and he's drawn plans of our house. We're gonna have Whatcom house movers.
And we have a trailer, and that's why I hate it when people feel bad for us, because I'm like, please don't feel bad for
Yeah.
us, because trust me, I've seen people that you should seriously feel bad
Yeah.
for. They've lost their home, they've lost their cars, they've lost everything, and they're not in the same situation as us, where
Right.
we have other resources we can draw from. They don't, and they have to go to work, and they have to feed their kids, and they have to rebuy all the groceries that they had stocked in their home that they're budgeted for. I mean, it's just so overwhelming to see some of their situations.
Right.
And that's part of the reason why we wanted to help the community out so much, because if the community hadn't helped us in the last year with the tent
We
and
may
the
not be
COVID
open.
thing, we wouldn't be open to help them.
Yeah. So we owed them.
We did owe them because I mean that's a big deal for us to get the support that we do from the community, and we literally will do anything we can do to help the community. I mean, and none of it was political. We just did spaghetti feed. People were hungry.
Yes.
And what was interesting is I just walked around and listened to people. People wanted
was
to
so
talk.
sad.
They hadn't talked to anyone. Some of them, this was the first hot meal they've had, a week later since the flood, and just the stories were just heartbreaking. But they just
We
wanted to talk.
we put out our last, because then we did baked potatoes and chili for anyone who, we were doing spaghetti or grilled cheese and fries or baked potatoes or chili or whatever. But it was sad how it's only probably been maybe 5 or 6 days since we got the very last people who still needed
Now,
dinners.
yeah.
We were still like every night would have 12 to 15 dinners going out, because that many people still were not getting help.
Was it last Friday or the Friday before? We actually gave away more dinners than we sold.
But it was like, but at
there
the
was a
same
need.
time, the churches are set up in Linden, I understand, to help feed, but some of these people don't have cars yet, so they had no way to get anywhere.
Exactly, and so you've got Advent Church in Sumas, you have Valley Church, there's Haven Church, but they're not set up for doing hot meals.
They're
and
not.
That's a huge need for. People work. Right?
Right.
You only get so many volunteers.
Right.
And then, you got people who are retired and they can only do so much.
Right.
And so we are exhausting our resources as a community very quickly.
Very quick.
Well,
And the Sikh community was great. They
Oh,
have
they're
fed
awesome.
so many people,
Yeah.
and they continue to do that. But the need for a truck like Meals on Wheels, this is called.
Yep.
That's what we need.
We do. We need that really badly because from what I experienced with the community that needed fed is that there were places during the day, like People's Bank was often doing stuff,
They
or
grab pizzas and give to people.
yeah,
and
and so they were bringing food in, but once it hit 5 o'clock, that was gone, and and now they're home from work, and or they've been working all day in a cold house. They're hungry. Their kids are hungry,
And
and they have no kitchen.
right, and with 1,000 structures, a little over 1,000 structures damaged, there we can only do so much as a community too. Like we can
Exactly.
only raise so much money before we've
Exactly.
raised more. And you know, so we've got Whatcom Community Foundation working with Whatcom Strong that has raised about $1 million. That does not begin to touch just the immediate housing need. And you know, I mean, you know, Matt, being on city council, that our housing problem in Whatcom County is already stretched.
Yeah.
And already it's a crisis.
the limit.
Yes. And you add this on top of it with no resources coming in.
It's a humanitarian crisis.
It's not a, it's gonna be, it
It
is
is one.
It is.
It is, it hasn't exploded yet.
Exactly. Well, because people are they're just now trying to pull out of the shock and but these resources that they are getting right now, those are going to go away eventually. And where is that going to leave them?
Yeah, and you know, out here in Everson and Sumas and places that are hit, those are generally it's not the wealthy who live out here,
No.
right? But they have enough money that they don't actually qualify for assistance.
Exactly.
But they live paycheck to paycheck.
Exactly.
So where does that leave them?
Especially when you look at Sumas, which which got devastated the worst, and they really are such a hard reach out there anyway. I mean, because they have a lot of lower income because it's Sumas. It tends to be cheaper out that way.
Yes,
so lower
much cheaper.
Much cheaper.
It's starter homes.
Yeah.
It's where I started.
Yeah.
You know,
And
that kind of
HUD
thing.
housing.
And those are the
Yeah.
people that got hit the hardest.
When I was
So-
when I was able to buy a house, my first house was $63,000, and I'm not that. I mean, it was a small little house, and I lived where I could, and that's what people are doing nowadays. My kid, my kids, your kid, everybody's kid. They
on the
start where
outer
they can,
reaches of the
and so
county
they have to
where
go on
things
the
are
outer
still
reaches.
low.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they want to stay
Yeah.
close to home.
And they're the ones with the small children usually.
They're still working their way up the ladder, so they're
Absolutely.
not at a real high pay.
They don't
grade
have
yet.
the resources. They don't have the 50 years of work that you can maybe put a little bit away.
Right.
And it's devastating. And there's people like Dan Thompson that are working with the Bourbon.
Yes.
To do a dinner, I think next Thursday night. I mean, they're just paying for this,
And Dan's done quite a few
Oh,
things.
Dan's done so much.
Dan has done so much for this community,
Yep.
and people have no
He needs
clue.
like all the keys to every city.
No, but it's people like him who have I don't know his financial situation, but I'm sure he has the means to help people out, and he's helping people out. What an
Yes, for the
amazing
last
human
2 years.
being! Yes, and that's the kind of people that we strive to be.
Yeah.
We're limited on our resources, but we can sure give people food. We can't give them $500,000, but we can give them food, and everybody in the North County has done what they can.
Everyone's doing everything they can, but
And-
it's just not enough.
Well, and when
Yeah.
you're already kind of suppressed, right? You're already, I mean, you can get food now, but for how long can you feed the community, right? I mean, so there has to come a point where we don't want to rely on the government.
No.
We want to be self-sustaining, but
But this is why we pay taxes.
this
It's
is
for
exactly,
this sort of situation.
Exactly. And we pay a lot.
A lot of taxes.
Yes. And so, as from the beginning, the very first day the flood came in until today, I've been pretty active in helping with the flood relief stuff, and I've learned a lot.
You've been very active.
Well, I've learned there's a process to things, and it's sad. All the red tape. It's sad. All the things that have to happen. There's too much. These emergency powers. This is what
This
they're
is the
for.
emergency.
This is what they're for.
Yeah.
But
And-
there's no emergency. They're not doing anything with that.
Right.
I mean, the only reason National Guard came in was, number one, I feel that a gentleman who's in the National Guard at that Nooksack Valley
AJ
High School
Hookema.
meeting,
Yeah.
he got up and he spoke about the proper way to deploy the National Guard in these instances
He
of
also made some
emergency.
phone calls after that.
And then, would they? I mean, little too late. Come on,
Yep.
you know. I mean, we should have had 1,000 Guard members in here helping people clean up their houses, get out of their houses, throw away. You know, I mean, just.
Well, they should have stayed and helped, like you're saying, because how long were they sitting in DC doing nothing?
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
like AJ said, search and rescue is their number one thing.
Absolutely.
Number one. And that's what they should have been doing.
And what's sad too is like a man died
Yeah.
through all this and lost his life.
It's miraculous that only one
But
person.
that's the point. Is it's so sad that his life was lost, but that there should have been way more lives lost. And the only reason they weren't is because county people and local business owners were offering up their equipment, their
Yep.
time, their personal property to go get
Absolutely.
people by boat or go get people by front loaders or however they had to get the people. And it's sad to me that in that kind of a crisis, we can really only rely on ourselves for
Right.
help.
Yeah.
Right. Well, but I will say so. I've been working with the Red Cross, and so this whole Whatcom Strong thing has been formed, and it's very loose, and it's not an organization. It's just like a coalition, right?
Right.
But it's,
But it's-
what's been the main driver of help
has.
in
It's
this
the hub.
this
It
county.
has, and they, the Red Cross was like, this, what you've done, we've never seen this
No,
in a community.
they
Wow,
told me that
pretty
too.
awesome.
Yeah, and they said you cannot let this go, and can you duplicate it and like do it nationally? I was like, well,
Isn't that what the Red Cross is supposed to be?
Hey, that's what I said. Don't you guys get like a lot of money to do that? But I learned there's, it's kind of like what a COAD is in a community. So the Emergency Operation Command is supposed to activate a COAD, and a COAD calls all these people to come in as organizations and volunteers and stuff. And that never happened. The COAD, we have one, and it never got activated. Why? Haven't gotten to the bottom of that yet. But I've talked to John Gargett and a bunch of people and I think that they definitely appreciate all the efforts of Whatcom Strong. They definitely, and We Will has brought in so many volunteers to that. I mean, to be honest, COVID kind of made us all really
It
tight.
did.
Yes.
To
It
where
did.
we could bring our community
It was
together.
a great network of people.
Great network of people, and so it's been amazing to see kind of that new family and the new community come around itself. But now we've realized a very big hole and a need that needs to be fulfilled, and I want the community to know we cannot forget. It's not, number one, we are nowhere near recovery. I mean,
Oh, no.
What did Paul tell Inslee? How long until?
Well, what I heard, I wasn't
Yeah.
there. I heard that he told Inslee that Paul said there's going to be people out of their houses for at least 30 days.
Yeah, at least 30.
We're looking at a year.
Yeah, maybe a staff
Maybe
Paul
more.
would like to do an interview.
And we're looking at a year.
We're looking at a year, and we actually have friends who are contractors that will come
that will
in and help.
be able to help us out.
Well, that's the other thing. We have a shortage on contractors.
Yep.
Our supply
Yep.
is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
You're not going to be able to get appliances for 6 months
No.
or longer.
Right now it's like a year for something. Yeah, and I think so. There's this huge. We have huge problems without this. Now, my point is, if I say Baker, Blue, what in the world would we do?
Well, that's just it. Now everybody's going to have PTSD who's been through this
Yes.
because there's no fallback.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know what kind of aid is even going to be there.
Right. And so I think that's why, as a community, we need to remember, one, we have to work on this. This is our airplane in the sky on fire, trying to
Yeah.
rebuild at the same time. And then we have to continue as a community to stay together because we know that the help isn't coming.
Yeah.
And so Whatcom County is very different. You leave the state, and COVID exists almost nowhere compared to here.
Yep.
And so Washington State's pretty bad. Washington, Oregon, but even go to California, and it's not like Whatcom County. it's freer. And so when you get to Washington State and you get to Whatcom County, it's kind of like its own little country. But then even in Whatcom County, it's very divisive.
Subdivided, yeah.
Yes. And so I think if we can use this and learn from it, I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? What can we learn from this flood disaster to help us? Because people are leaving. They're just leaving.
Oh, they're leaving.
They're packing up and leaving.
Yeah, we see it a lot. We have a lot of customers. A lot. I can name 10 people that moved out of state that were great customers here. They're just like, we're gone. We have nothing to do with the state anymore. And the problem of it is, these were hardworking, made quite a bit of income, so they pay quite a bit of taxes. People,
Right.
And so the people that are making the money, that are paying a large portion of tax, I'm not saying everybody, but you lose that tax base, and they got to get that revenue from somewhere. So they're going to increase the taxes on the people who are here. I mean, that's just what they do. That's what the state does.
It's frustrating to see the divide between Bellingham and North County because, you know, there's a real homeless crisis situation going on in Bellingham. We're about to have one in North County.
Yeah.
The differences of why those things are happening are worlds apart. You've got a lot of drug abuse issues
And mental illness.
issues creating a homeless problem in Bellingham that everybody is all hands on deck to fix.
Right.
And you've
millions of dollars at it.
millions. And then you've got victims of a flood through no fault of their own.
And they're now saying the homeless in Bellingham are all victims of the flood as well, which I don't want to discount that,
No.
but
I do.
but I mean, they're there a lot because of addiction, and then some just choose to live that way.
They do.
That is a thing.
Or they're mentally ill.
Or they're mentally ill, but living, they have resources, a lot of resources,
And we don't have those resources out here. And that's the frustrating thing to me is this is where that divide between the cities is a real issue, is a lot of the burden of everything is falling on the mayors.
Yeah.
Instead of outreach programs that are there for homeless people, but these people are homeless for a completely different reason that's more crisis involved, you know.
Right.
On Thanksgiving,
They don't know how to be homeless.
there was a lot of the community, some restaurants, Suburban, Smokestack Diner. There was people that came. We made Thanksgiving dinner, and I think we fed like 700 people. There were people that fed. They smoked turkeys. It was amazing to see. And the press got a hold of it from Seattle, and we had Como, King 5, Q13, everybody and their brother was out here, and it was just a feel-good story, and it was great. People had a minute to just forget about this, and they, came together. They ate,
and everybody wanted to vent about the flooding,
and
they gave everybody an opportunity to talk.
There was a cameraman from Como News. They were interviewing me, just kind of about everything, and he stopped, and he just looked at me and said, you wouldn't see this in Seattle. You just wouldn't see this in Seattle. He's like, just the way this comes together and how you guys are helping us or helping everybody else. And I said, I can't say it wouldn't, but it
But the Red Cross has never seen it either.
And the other thing of it is, I don't know if it would happen in Bellingham either. I'm in Bellingham. I work in Bellingham every day. I mean, I love Bellingham. It's a beautiful town, or it can be.
But it hasn't, because there are people who are affected.
Yeah.
The mayor isn't helping in Bellingham.
No.
He has his own EOC.
It's grossly mismanaged.
It is grossly mismanaged.
It's a little Seattle.
The mayor
anymore.
of Bellingham, Seth Fleetwood, was on the news saying he feels sad for his northern neighbors. That's Canada. What about us?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And while all the while, we've got the Whatcom Strong, the donation center. We had people coming from Bellingham, and we were like, we want to make sure that the right people are coming in that need stuff, and people aren't taking advantage.
Right.
Because the generosity of the community has been amazing.
Oh,
The
it's been
outpouring-
incredible.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And so we want to make sure that there isn't anyone taking advantage. And so as we're getting these people come from Bellingham, we're like, that's weird. I mean, the dealerships got hit, but we didn't hear anything about homes.
Yeah.
And this woman shows me, and it's like your guys' house. She's behind Olive Garden. And I was like,
yeah.
oh, I didn't even think about there's that creek
Yeah.
running through there. And she said, I need help. No one's getting garbage out of my house. I'm a single. She works for the school, and she's like, I can't go to work because there's this, and
Yes.
and you know, she just in tears. And I said, have you called the mayor's office? They won't call me back. Like, what the heck? What is going on? How
Because they're
can
too
you?
busy dealing with tiny homes to deal with a right now crisis situation.
Right.
Unless it takes years of planning, they don't have immediate resources.
And
Right.
unless it's going to benefit them politically,
Right.
I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but that has become so apparent through this. It's become very apparent through COVID, and even this has become very apparent. How do I say this correctly? If
Just say it.
North Whatcom County was extremely liberal, and we followed all the guidelines and all the COVID, and we were rabid about it, we'd have way more help than
Yep.
we do right now.
Well,
And
if
I would
Yeah.
bet my life on it.
If we just said, oh, climate change is killing us. If we just said
Yeah.
that, it would be totally different.
Yeah.
But
Instead
instead,
of we
we're
don't know
saying
how to
dredge
manage
the
our river
river
system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So it's sad because, again, you're just
Yes.
pawns in a political game.
Yeah.
And health and safety, it doesn't actually matter.
No, it does not.
Yeah.
Not one bit.
So it's sad to see. But, you know, I think, again, the silver lining of this is how people are starting to come together who never would have been.
Oh, completely.
Like, never, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, just people, again, you know, with vaccines even. Oh, I'm vaccinated, but what the heck is up with a vaccine passport? I don't want to do that. I don't want
No.
to do that to my friend who
No.
can't be. You have people who are handicapped who cannot be vaccinated, and now they are not allowed.
Yep.
Well, again, what happened to personal choice? What happened to my body, my choice?
Right.
That's a real thing
Not anymore.
to the liberals, to the progressive. That's what they've been banging their drum on for how many years? And all of a sudden, when I look at them and say, "Well, my body, my choice," well, you're killing me. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
You're killing babies. You know, I mean, no,
Who's
you know what I
worse
mean?
here?
No, you know what I mean? But they don't see that. It's I can choose to do whatever I want. You can choose to come into my restaurant, to come over to my house, to shop in my store, to walk down my street. That's your choice. Make the choice that you want to make.
For you and your family.
And if our business makes the choice that we don't want to follow that vaccine mandate and show passports and wear masks, don't come into my restaurant, and then I'll either succeed or I'll fail.
Right.
And that's my choice, though, to make for my restaurant.
Right.
You know, and they don't understand
The
that.
divide between Bellingham and North County is really bad.
Yeah,
It is bad. And especially because they're painting North County as a certain way.
They do.
But it's not all of Bellingham. I mean,
No.
trust me.
Oh, I know. There's
it's
people in Bellingham who don't agree with how that's all going.
And
very
Fairhaven.
many of them.
Yeah, I've heard there's quite a bit of Fairhaven people because they've actually been hit really hard too.
Yes.
In Fairhaven.
Yeah.
And you know, I have just we've had the opportunity to talk to so many people in Whatcom County, especially even with the flood, and the COVID situation. I think people are sick of it. Even the people trying to be
they're
like,
over it.
I mean, there are
There's
a
some
handful-
diehards.
Yeah,
There's
some
a handful
diehards
that are not.
because it's kind of like a religion to them.
Yes.
That science has become the religion, and it's not science, but it's the science that we're making up as we go. But it's a religion to them, so they have to. Even if they don't believe it anymore, they've stuck to it so hard. It's the thing. They have to stay with it.
Yeah.
But I think that there are people who we realize that it's not killing everyone like we thought it was going to in the beginning. Like, everyone was pretty much scared in the beginning.
I was scared in the beginning.
So was I, and I stayed home for a long time.
Well, I couldn't. I mean, I work in Bellingham at a large retailer, so
Yeah.
I was there every day. I mean, we just had to be, you know. But fear's a natural reaction to anything that
Right.
changes, you know. And the way the media painted the coronavirus was we're all gonna die, you know. Well,
They
now
took
they're
what
trying
was
to.
going on in New York and Italy.
Yeah, yeah.
And and they fed off of
Yeah.
it. Yes, and they
But
fed the fear.
But they're hurting themselves because then it was the Delta variant, and then oh my goodness, everyone's freaking out about it. Now it's the Omicron.
Omicron.
But the thing of it is, I mean, they'll admit the Omicron variant is basically
Less aggressive.
You're a little tired. You have
Less symptoms.
You feel like you have a mild cold, but they're still pushing it like we should be scared of it, and they're not pushing we should be scared of the flu, because the flu kills how many people a year?
Or pneumonia.
Or pneumonia, and you know what I mean. And on the other hand, people aren't. Your son, who can't get into the doctor and get surgeries, how many people have not gone for their cancer screenings?
Right.
How many people have not gone to the dentist? How many people haven't gone and got? I mean, the heart doctor. How many people have not got their have their yearly preventative medicine because of this? And how many people are going to die from that?
Well,
I mean,
if you
that's
have
a
any
real
symptoms,
thing.
and now just like a headache is a symptom, right? If you have any symptoms, you're not allowed. Or have you been around someone who's tested positive? And now it's gone to the point where, I mean, yeah, I do know people who have tested positive, and they stay home. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't mean that I need to have no health care because of it.
Exactly.
So they're just, and you bring up pneumonia and the flu. So the CDC has it's called the Fluvio, and it just defines what the pandemic is. But because they couldn't do it on just COVID, they slapped all three together. Mm-hmm. And even with all three together, we're still under pandemic levels, under the threshold. Mm-hmm. And pneumonia is now, I believe, last week, killing more people than COVID. Mm-hmm. What?
And we're still living like this.
And we're still living like this, and we're not talking about it. So, and it's just, it doesn't, with schools, the school needs to go back to normal.
It does.
It is absolutely ridiculous.
Well, that's what worries me, is like how many people are we losing to depression? I mean, and how many kids are we setting up for that?
Well, now that, and then you add a natural disaster on top of it.
Yes.
Hey, there's days, I ask Angel, I just put my head down and I go,
Oh, he's nonstop.
I was on the phone. We were in the front end loader, and I was on the phone getting a 25-yard dumpster. I was getting people over to clean the house. I'm just going. Man, there's days where this has been overwhelming. Mm-hmm. And I have more resources than some people, not as much as others, but I have some resources. We have a large network of people that can help us. I feel horrible for the people who don't, because it's been overwhelming. Yeah. I mean, overwhelming to me.
Just heating their house.
I don't.
Is that just that alone? Having hot water. The other day I found out that Sumas the gas was shut off in Sumas, and while they might have had perfectly good reason and it was an emergency, no warning. Just no hot water, no heat. Just like that. I mean, that's if they even had a furnace that was working.
These are people whose homes are already gutted, so they don't have any insulation. They half the time don't have any inner walls. So they're even more affected by the cold because their house is so bare, laid bare.
Right, and these people, the cost. So they fall in this like gap, right? They don't have flood insurance. They make too much to get assistance. But now they've got $7,000 to just get a new furnace, which has gone up like $2,000, I guess, in the last 3-4 months, and they don't have money to do that. Then they're able to heat. Maybe it's electric or whatever. Their heating bill is going to be atrocious.
Ours is going to be.
How are they going to pay for anything?
Where's the assistance for that?
We have no insulation in our house. We have
space heaters, fireplace,
and our boiler was down. I'm begging people to come. Linen sheet metal was great. I called them this morning. My boiler's down. Bam, they were there. I don't know if they'll be able to fix it or not, but at least they're trying. But if I can't get someone over to fix my boiler, it's going to be 23 degrees next week. My pipes are going to freeze.
And what are the after effects going to be like?
Yeah.
Because what I know for us is like, I was telling him, I'm like, our credit card bill this month is like $10,000 because we've had to pay for so much.
And that doesn't include just the cash, the tens of thousands of dollars of cash that we put out.
Because you got to get shop vacs.
Where's the help for these people? Where the hell is the help? We can do this. Not very comfortable, but we can do this. Where is the help? And that should be
And where's
the
where's
biggest
going to
thing.
be the financial help for them?
Yes.
So that they can pay their electric bills and they can pay their gas bills and they
Banner Bank, was it Banner Bank?
replace all their groceries.
Was it Banner Bank that's doing a zero interest
Yes.
$15,000 loan for these people? That's pretty awesome.
But how sad that they're going to have to go into debt.
Yeah, it's
But-
amazing, but it's one more thing. When
Exactly.
the taxes are going up and inflation,
Yep.
it's like one more payment.
And then you're going to have
And
another
they're
payment on
already
that.
hanging on by their fingernails.
When we should have, and I know that FEMA has criteria. I know that. But
It's a government entity and
it's a
slow.
government entity and it's slow. And if we get any help, which we're not, I don't believe so. If we get any help, it's going to be in February or March. Come on. Where the hell is Jay Inslee sending his people to help us out?
Right,
We live in
right.
Washington State. We pay taxes for a reason.
Where's those mobile units?
You know what? Everson, Sumas, Linden's helping, Ferndale, Blaine, all these towns are mobilizing the resources that they have to help their citizens out. And our state is not doing
Anything.
well, they're doing some stuff,
They
but they're
they
not.
approved some money that is helping the Sarbanan
Yes.
Farms. Sarbanan, however you say that.
Yes.
They're helping, but that's pretty much, from
Yeah.
what I have been able to gather, is the only thing that, and that's a big piece.
People should be outraged right
Yes.
now.
But that's if people knew how much money it took just to run that farm.
Yeah.
That money that's raised for the Whatcom Community Foundation, it
It's a drop in
seriously
the bucket.
doesn't touch it.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. And so, I mean, the community has been so amazing with resources for people. But I mean, working at the donation center twice a week. I mean, again, that's the people who can get there, right? So like, we need people to basically send their requests so we can send runners out. But getting those runners, you really have a very small amount of people doing a lot of work.
A lot.
Oh, well, I'll tell you.
And
Well, it's like Angel and Carrie Gardner from the Smokestack Diner.
Yeah.
They got together and I don't know whose idea it was, but they wanted to do a toy drive for kids for
Yes.
Christmas.
For the flood kids.
And I'm like, okay, maybe one or two, whatever. They started collecting donations and then people started sending us messages. It is overwhelming
we have
the amount
so
of
many
people
families.
who just cannot afford a backpack, who can't afford a toy for their child. It is.
But not only did we have so many people, because I was like, message Herb Neiman's or message Smokestack and give us the ages and sex of your child so that we can have gift bags
Yeah.
for them. Because, I mean, the angel trees are great and all, but I don't know what kids those go
Right.
to. We need
Right.
this to be more specific.
Local.
Right.
And local. Well, we got so many people who messaged, oh my God, my these are my kids and and we don't have anything and we're victims of the flood and I'm like, yep, we got you. But even more so was like, I put on our Facebook page, I'm like, hey, if you're a customer of ours and if you're coming in and if you want to help, bring a toy with you. We have so many toys.
We're going to be able to help so many kids.
Bodie's Precast came in for their Christmas party. Every single one of them brought a toy. I mean,
That's awesome.
That's where the
That's really
community
awesome.
shines.
Yeah.
Well, and that's so, doing a Christmas party through the donation center too. That's what
Yeah.
we're like. We Will is going to help along with some other local businesses, and maybe we should partner with you guys. But that's the thing, is there's so many children,
So many.
and they can't afford Christmas,
No.
and kids are going to remember.
That'll be the Christmas
it
they
has
remembered.
Sucked. School sucks. Everything sucks. The flood comes. It gets worse.
Yeah.
I mean, we already had children committing suicide
Well-
at higher rates in Whatcom County, and we don't want to see any more of that.
Well, and that's where I was telling you, it's overwhelming for me, and I have resources. How about a 12-year-old boy who exactly, you know what? He's masked up. He feels isolated. They can't do anything in school. Their mental well-being has gone down,
And then
now
we took Christmas. at
Yeah,
our
and now we
house.
took. You don't have a house to live in. You don't have Christmas. I mean, what is it doing? Again, where the hell is the help? Where's the help? Where's the help from the people who should be helping? You're helping. We're helping. There's thousands of people that are helping.
Well, what's crazy is I don't have a lot of time to follow the national news right now, but we have the tornadoes that just ripped through, and it's so sad to see it.
It is.
And like being so fresh on what we're doing, it's like, oh, my heart goes
It's
out to
heartbreaking.
Hundreds of people died.
Right, but you have this pledge from FEMA
Immediately.
Okay, you want to know why? Because they had so many deaths.
Right.
Yeah.
The thing that bothers me about that, though, is that we would have had that too
Had
not we had the community step in and make sure more people didn't die.
Well, had you not had John Perry out there telling people, don't cross that river.
Exactly.
I mean, literally.
Or people in boats saving people from their homes.
Yes.
I mean, we would have had way more
Yes.
deaths. So that being a criteria for FEMA aid is gross. It's gross.
It is gross.
Should not be based on the lives lost. It
No.
should be based on the lives affected.
You're right, Angel.
If
You're
you've
right.
got more than 25 people in a disaster, that to me is a crisis.
Right.
You need to get
Or
help.
percentage. What percentage of Sumas? What percentage of
Like
Nooksack?
85% of Sumas.
Yeah, I mean that should be a FEMA. They should be flying in the jets. Nobody brought them water.
I know.
Water. You go to Hurricane Katrina. They brought them water. They had tankers of water and this and that. Where the hell is the help? People need to be outraged at Jay Inslee, our government in Washington State. No help. No help.
Right, and I heard that Paul was in D.C., so maybe it'd be great to hear what happened there. What was he doing? What did he find out? What's he going to do? He has emergency powers of his own that he has not used.
No.
Well,
Because we're going to be back in our homes in 30 days, so
Right.
probably we don't need it.
probably not. Yeah. So, yeah, right. But I think, I think that Matt, you just said, we've got to be outraged and we have to hold accountable.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that we attack them and
No.
go off the deep end, but they have to be held accountable because we elected them. And by we, I mean
Where,
the
where
majority.
were our two at-large elected officials through all this?
Right.
Where were our two at-large officials? Our Whatcom County Council members.
I saw one at the church that Paul brought Barry, and he was there for about 15 minutes, and that's the only time I saw him.
They're not where people need to see them.
No.
And they're at large. They encompass
I
the
never saw
entire
Kara
county.
once.
No,
Not once.
not one time.
Didn't hear anything out of her.
Nothing. She's been silent.
Yeah.
Where Ben, Tyler, Kathy, they've even...
Tyler's out there sandbagging with people till 2 in the
Yes,
morning.
yes.
Yeah.
So these are the people that are helping their community, and they should be, because they see what's going on. So they're the ones
They
that
know how to help.
They know how to help, but they're listening, and they know what we need to do to take steps to at least try and mitigate the damage for next time.
Right.
Our two at-large Whatcom County Council members, nothing.
Yeah, so glad we were elected one of those. That's great. So glad.
All he cares about is Bellingham. I
Yeah.
hate to say it, but
Yeah.
but if I'm
But
wrong,
what about
prove
Bellingham?
to me.
Bellingham's not even getting the help.
No.
So what is
Yeah.
actually going
Yeah.
on here?
Yeah. And if they don't, prove to me that I'm wrong. Come here, sit down with people in this community, and at least listen to them. We may not be right on the solutions, but let's talk about it.
Yes.
Let's just have a conversation at least.
Right. And even, as a politician, if you get the door slammed in your face and you can't do something, then find another route. Like they do
Absolutely.
it all the time when
Right.
they want something.
Uh-huh.
They're always finding other routes.
Yep.
So figure it out. Like I
Yep.
asked Alicia and Sharon, what are you going to do
Nothing.
to cut through the red tape? What are you going to do?
They've done nothing.
Oh, they're going to do the research. They're going to look into it.
Uh-huh.
They're with us.
Yeah. Yeah,
They're
yeah.
part of us.
Gotcha.
They almost cried.
They,
Almost cried. So
I can't even.
So do
talk.
crocodiles.
You're right.
Yes. Right. So
No, you're right.
Right.
And it's unfortunate, but if you want to do something, do something.
Well, when you have an elected official showing up for the meeting regarding the flood, rolling their eyes,
Yeah.
what does
Right.
that tell you?
Right, and that elected official is going to run again.
Yeah.
And the other one is going to run against Doug Erickson.
Yep.
So let's remember that.
Yep.
When they're out there saying they're one of us, because are they one of us?
Well, that's why they're doing this Riveters collection, because
Yeah.
they were out helping people during the flood.
Unfortunately, yes.
But that's probably the only reason they're doing
It is.
I don't know if that's the only reason. I would hate to think that.
Yeah.
But
I'm glad they helped, but it's sad it had to be announced as a political agenda.
I
You're
think
right.
the individuals that are actually doing it want to help, but they're being used as pawns as well. Because if you've ever been in a campaign, you know darn well you don't let any disaster go to waste.
No.
And so that's I mean, that's typically
That's what
a
they're
left.
doing.
That's a left thing. But that's typically, I won't say that the right hasn't done it too, but the left, they capitalize on that.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And they're doing it, and they're using even their people as pawns. Because I really do believe that those people delivering those meals, they care. It's their neighbors. Some of them live out here.
Absolutely, they
but
But
care.
they're
Yeah.
totally being used.
And I've talked to some of the people. I've talked to the people who are in charge of that, and they want to work with us on something maybe
Yeah.
in the future. And I don't know. I hope it does, because it's not political to me.
Right, but you don't
It's
want to
about-
be used
No.
by the people who are doing
Well,
stuff.
and I won't be. Trust
Yeah.
me. We do things to help the community. We don't
just
do
don't-
things for political.
I don't understand
at all.
it.
And,
It would be no different than us going on our Facebook page going, hey, come for the free spaghetti dinner because we hate Jay Inslee. I mean, that's not what we're doing.
No,
Right.
we don't care who
It
you
shouldn't
are.
be a political agenda.
Yeah.
Right. Well, okay, so we're going to wrap up here, but can you tell me some of the, so we talked about you guys are doing the toy drive.
Yeah.
What are some of the resources available to people that you know of, flood victims, that are ongoing? Because I know, like, Haverstick is open for the dump
Haverstick
until
Road
the
dump.
end of the month
Yeah.
right now. But what are some of the resources that you can share, or really just anything that flood related that you want to share?
Samaritan's Purse is helping people out.
Yep.
I just looked. Team Rubicon is back.
They're back, yeah. They're
People
back.
were upset at Team Rubicon because they left.
But they were intended to come back.
They cannot be, when we had the second flood, they cannot be in an active disaster.
Can't put their own people in danger.
Yeah. So they're back. Whatcom Strong, huge resource right now. Everything, anybody that wants anything, we're just sending them to Whatcom Strong because
then
that
they can
seems
get
to be
sourced out to
the
who
hub.
can help
yeah.
them.
And that's
Well,
Ashley.
really, that
thank you.
makes you part of Whatcom Strong.
Well, we are.
Because that's
yeah.
what it is. That's
Yeah.
the community being
Yeah.
Whatcom Strong.
Right.
And it's, yes. Yeah.
At the end of the day, go to your local church. Your local church has resources, and every local church
Or can
knows
direct you.
somebody they can direct you. And at the end of the day, you know what? If you need diapers or food, call Herb Neiman Steakhouse, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come on. We're not going to let anybody not have food or basic necessities. I mean, I don't really care.
This isn't going to last forever. So
No, but we
as
need
long
to
as
get
it's
through
critical, we just need to get everybody through
Right.
that
Yeah.
critical
Right.
stage.
But we do have a long winter.
But we have a long
I mean,
winter.
this was-
Well,
the
and it's
beginning.
just getting cold.
Yeah,
and this is going to be.
And I'm worried for people.
I'm very worried for people. And you know what? I'm worried for people's lives. There's people living, like I said before, there's people living in their house with no heat, no water,
And nowhere else
with
to
some
go.
space heaters upstairs, and they're, and what's going to happen? What's going to happen if this house catches on fire? Whose blood is
'Cause
that
you've
going to
got
be
all
on
this
Jay Inslee?
exposed
Come on.
wood.
Why aren't you helping people out? The National Guard can do so much. They're built for natural disaster.
I think if he has the ability
wanna help.
to call in FEMA for COVID immunization trucks, then he should have the ability to call in FEMA for flood
Food
assistance.
trucks, yeah.
And
Yeah.
food
Like
trucks.
at minimum.
We need some
Let's get
food
some food
trucks.
trucks. Yeah. Okay, well, so I want to say if anyone wants to donate to the flood victims, go to Whatcom Community Foundation. You can find it through WhatcomStrong.com. And if you want a large donation, you can contact them, and it can be earmarked for the donation center or people's furnaces, because there are specific needs, and housing and food and heat is kind of the immediate need.
is.
That
But if
is
there's
what
something
we need
you
to worry
want to
about
do,
now.
yeah, if there's something that you want to do, you earmark it. So, I think we're helping that effort, and putting things towards the Christmas party for children who are connected to the donation center, and we might be reaching out to you guys even to kind of
We'll do whatever we can possibly do.
bring kids into that, because we want them to come see Santa and have happiness, just a moment of happiness in their lives. And so I want to thank every person, every company, every organization in this community who has come around itself and helped, because
There's been almost all of them.
Well, it's like I
There's
said,
just so
Ashley,
much.
we're kind of in the spotlight of helping people out. We're just a thimble of what's happening.
yeah.
There's so many people. I
Skolton's equipment, and
farmers
Brim
equipment,
Tractor,
I'm
and
from
Smokestack Diner to Bourbon. I
just
mean,
every business,
Yeah.
I think every business in this county, and
Out of the
half the
goodness of
county
their heart.
have
Oh,
just
yeah.
given,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that is, I told somebody like last week, I said I really wish we could write a book about all the stories of people helping people, and the
Right.
heroism from just
and then all the proceeds go to flood victims. There you go.
Yeah.
yeah, you know.
I say
but-
make a movie.
But I
Yeah.
will say Herb Nemens wants to thank this community. It's just been amazing to see
was
what's
really
happening.
cool when on Thanksgiving. It was really cool when the Red Cross lady told me,
Yeah.
we've never ever seen this before.
Yeah.
We've never seen a community come together like this.
So don't leave. Stay here.
Yeah,
People, I mean, I get it. Some people have to leave. You know, they've lost their jobs due to mandates.
but we need you to stay.
We need you. We've got to keep this community. We can't let it become California.
No, I know that's always my
Yeah.
fear too.
It's hard to run a business
Because
in
it
this-
doesn't come with the
it's
sunshine.
Hard
so
to
it's
run
just
a
a
business.
lot. Yeah,
I'm telling you, it's hard to run a business in the state right now.
it is. Yeah. Well, thank you both
Thank
for
you.
coming on, and
Thank
you know,
you.
maybe we'll do another yearly update with you.
Hopefully,
Here.
it's a better one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can celebrate
Hopefully,
the
there's no
year.
natural disaster or anything.
Yes. All right. Thank you guys.
You guys.